At the small-town animal shelter, staff members were used to pets being returned, but never so quickly. When the cat named Jasper was brought back only a day after being adopted, the staff were prepared for the worst. But as they unfolded the note that came with Jasper, their eyes welled up with tears. The words written in the note were both heartbreaking and revealing, shedding light on a story far beyond what anyone could have expected. Clara couldn't stop the tears from streaming down her face. She finally knew why Jasper had been returned so quickly, but it broke her heart, and she was determined to find the woman who had adopted him. She needed to have a word with her. She owed it to Jasper. In the following days, Clara tried everything she could to track down the woman who had adopted Jasper. It was much more difficult than she had expected, and each initial lead just led her to another dead end. However, Clara would not give up so easily, and she would not rest before finding that woman. One day, Clara finally did it. She found the woman. However, the woman wanted nothing to do with her, and she refused each attempt to get in touch. Perhaps there was more to this story than Clara thought. But what was written on the note? Why had the woman returned Jasper? And would Clara's plan ever succeed? Clara hadn't been working at the shelter for a long time yet, but she absolutely loved her new job. She enjoyed spending time with animals, and she had a great relationship with her colleagues. Together, they cared for the animals, and they all had the same goal: to find a new home for each and every one of them. But on this particular day, something special happened. It wasn't every day that Clara and her team managed to find a new home for the animals, but it normally did happen a couple of times a week. Clara loved seeing all the happy cats and dogs find their new families, and the new owners always left the shelter with a huge smile on their face. Every single time this happened, it completely made her day. The day before had been an amazing day because of that exact reason. She had finally found a home for Jasper, a young tabby cat that had been in the shelter since the day it was born. Someone had found it on the street and brought it in, and Jasper had waited patiently for someone to bring him home. It had taken a while, but now it had finally happened. A woman had entered the shelter looking for a new pet, and as soon as she had laid eyes on Jasper, she knew that it had to be him. Clara and the rest of the staff were overjoyed, and they were relieved to know that little Jasper had finally found his new family where he would be treated with the love and care he deserved. But that wasn't the end of the story. For when Clara came into work that morning, she immediately noticed that something was off. There was something strange in the air. She could feel it as soon as she walked into the building. She had felt this same atmosphere before, and it could only mean one thing. A previously adopted animal had been returned to the shelter, but it was going to be much worse than she expected. She quickly greeted all the animals that were whining in their cages, desperately trying to get her attention, and then she made her way to the team's office. Once she arrived, she found all her colleagues inside, huddled together around the desk. "Hey guys, what's going on?" Clara asked, even though she thought she already knew the answer. Her colleagues turned around, and she immediately saw the worried and sad expression on their faces. Normally, whenever an animal was returned, they were obviously very disappointed, but they wouldn't let it get them down, and they continued to work hard to find another home for the cat or dog in question. However, this time, they seemed to be feeling more down than usual. When nobody spoke, Clara stood with her arms on her hips and asked, "Well, what is it?" Still, nobody answered, but after a few moments of silence, they all moved away from the desk so that Clara could see what was going on. And as they did, she immediately knew that her intuition had been right. Someone had returned an animal. But why did everyone seem so upset? Even though it was very sad, it wasn't like this hadn't happened before. Returns of animals were common, but Clara believed that if adopters genuinely attempted to bond and eventually realized the mismatch, they deserved no judgment for bringing the pets back. But unbeknownst to her this time, it was different. She approached the pink basket on the table and wondered which of the recently adopted animals was lying inside. Once she got close enough to recognize it, she gasped. This couldn't be. It was Jasper. He had not even been adopted 24 hours ago, and his new owner had already returned him? This was not right. What? How? Why? She exclaimed, unable to form a complete sentence. Mary, one of her colleagues, was holding a piece of paper, and Clara understood that this was a note that had been delivered with Jasper, possibly as some sort of explanation for why the woman had returned him so quickly. She was curious to see what it said, but Mary had no intention of sharing it. Clara extended her hand, eager to uncover the reason behind Jasper's abrupt return. However, Mary, tears streaming down her face, grasped the note firmly. With a sudden, decisive motion, she tore it into shreds, her voice trembling. "It's better we don't know." Shocked, Clara could only stare at the pieces of paper fluttering to the ground. Confusion and concern spread among the shelter staff. Clara's eyes met those of her colleagues, each reflecting the same bewilderment. Why would Mary destroy the note? What could have been written on it that was so distressing? The atmosphere in the shelter became heavy with unanswered questions and a deep sense of unease. What could it have said? Clara pondered aloud. The staff gathered, each offering their own speculation. Maybe the owner had allergies, one suggested. Or perhaps Jasper had behavioral issues, another added. Yet, without the note, their theories were mere shots in the dark, leaving them floating in a sea of uncertainty and curiosity. Jasper's return so soon after his adoption was unsettling. Clara watched the tabby cat, who seemed oblivious to the turmoil his return had caused. There has to be a reason, Clara thought, her mind racing. The lack of explanation only deepened her concern, leaving her feeling particularly unsettled about the whole situation. The mystery of the torn note lingered in the air, a silent yet powerful presence. Clara found herself revisiting the moment over and over, unable to shake off the feeling that something significant lay hidden beneath the surface. This enigma only fueled her determination to uncover the truth behind Jasper's unexpected return and the destroyed note. In the staff room, theories abounded. Maybe Jasper didn't get along with other pets? One volunteer guessed. Another chimed in. Could be a sudden allergy? Or maybe financial trouble. The ideas flew back and forth, each as plausible as the next, yet without the note, they were all grasping at straws in the dim light of conjecture. Clara joined the conversation, her mind racing with possibilities. What if Jasper was too shy, or the opposite, too active, she proposed. Her colleagues nodded, considering each scenario, but with no concrete information, their guesses felt hollow, like echoes in an empty room, leaving a trail of unanswered questions and a growing sense of frustration. Despite the rampant speculations, Mary remained a silent enigma. She busied herself with tasks, avoiding eye contact. Clara approached her. "Mary, anything you can tell us?" But Mary shook her head, lips pressed tightly together, a fortress of silence. Her refusal to share the note's contents only added layers to the already thickening mystery. Whispers filled the corners of the shelter as the staff speculated about the note. Did Jasper have a hidden health issue? Some wondered. Or was there something about the adopter we missed? Others pondered. The lack of the note's contents fueled a wildfire of rumors, each unconfirmed and adding to the complexity of Jasper's story. The uncertainty weighed heavily on everyone at the shelter. Jasper, unknowing of the commotion his return had caused, continued to purr and play, his innocence in stark contrast to the growing mystery around him. The lack of answers cast a shadow over the shelter, with Jasper's fate and story both shrouded in an unnerving veil of the unknown. As Clara spent more time with Jasper, her concern for him deepened. She often found herself watching him, wondering about the circumstances that led to his return. Each purr and playful leap seemed to underscore the mystery. What really happened in that brief time away from here, she pondered, feeling a growing urge to unravel the truth behind his return. Clara's bond with Jasper strengthened each day. She noticed his quirks and gentle nature, which made his swift return all the more perplexing. As she stroked his fur and he nuzzled in response, she felt a deep responsibility to understand his story. "There's more to this, Jasper," she whispered, her commitment to discovering his past intensifying. The lack of information about Jasper's adoption and quick return left Clara increasingly unsettled. Each unanswered question added to her restlessness. "Why would someone adopt you only to bring you back so soon?" she mused, looking into Jasper's eyes. The absence of answers seemed to hang in the air, palpable and heavy, fueling her desire for clarity. Clara felt a wave of empathy for both Jasper and his mysterious adopter. There must have been a reason, something important, she thought. Her heart ached for the untold story, the silent struggles that might have led to this moment. The mystery of Jasper's brief adoption and sudden return seemed to bind her to them in a shared narrative of uncertainty. Driven by a mix of duty and compassion, Clara's resolve to uncover the truth about Jasper's return grew stronger. She began to imagine ways to investigate, to reach beyond the walls of the shelter for answers. "I'll find out, Jasper," she promised, her determination lighting a fire within her to unravel the mystery that surrounded her furry companion. Determined to unravel the mystery, Clara resolved to take matters into her own hands. She knew that finding Jasper's adopter was crucial to understanding the situation. With a mix of resolve and uncertainty, Clara began to formulate a plan. She would start by reviewing Jasper's adoption paperwork, hoping to find a lead. This step, she believed, was key to discovering why Jasper was returned so swiftly. Clara's determination to find the truth about Jasper's return did not waver, even though she had no solid leads. She spent hours pondering where to start, knowing the journey might be long and challenging. Her dedication was fueled by her deep connection to Jasper and a sincere desire to ensure his well-being. This commitment was her guiding light in the pursuit of answers. Despite Clara's repeated attempts to learn more about the note, Mary remained steadfast in her silence. This refusal to share the information only intensified Clara's resolve. She knew she had to rely on her own resources to solve this puzzle. With each passing day, Clara's determination grew stronger, understanding that the key to Jasper's story lay beyond Mary's withheld secrets. Clara began her investigation with a mixture of determination and trepidation. She knew that the first step was crucial and could set the tone for her entire inquiry. After gathering her thoughts and steeling her nerves, Clara started by meticulously reviewing Jasper's adoption records. She hoped to find a clue, however small, that could lead her to Jasper's adopter and the answers she sought. With a deep sense of purpose, Clara embarked on her mission to find Jasper's adopter. She realized that understanding the reasons behind his return was pivotal to ensuring his future happiness. As she left the shelter, her mind was abuzz with possibilities and what-ifs. Each step forward on this journey was taken with a hope that she would soon uncover the truth about Jasper's brief adoption. Clara delved into Jasper's adoption records, her fingers swiftly flipping through the pages. She found the adopter's contact information, a name and a phone number. Her heart raced with hope. This could be the lead she needed to unravel the mystery. Armed with the number, she prepared to uncover the story behind Jasper's sudden return. With a sense of urgency, Clara dialed the number only to be met with a disheartening tone. "The number you have dialed is no longer in service." Her heart sank. This unexpected dead end deflated her initial excitement. The disconnected number meant the trail she hoped to follow had vanished as quickly as it appeared. Clara stood, phone in hand, processing this first major setback. A disconnected phone number meant no easy answers. She realized this investigation would not be straightforward and that she needed to prepare for more obstacles. But her resolve to find answers for Jasper's sake only strengthened with this challenge. Not one to be easily discouraged, Clara returned to the adoption records. She meticulously scanned each line, hoping to find another clue. Anything that could lead her to Jasper's adopter was crucial. She knew the answer lay hidden somewhere within these pages, and she was determined to find it, no matter how small or inconspicuous it might be. Clara's eyes caught the address listed in the adoption records. It was a tangible lead, something she could follow up on. Resolute, she decided to visit the address. She hoped that by going there, she might find some clues, or perhaps even meet someone who knew the adopter. With this new plan, Clara felt a renewed sense of purpose. Clara arrived at the address listed in Jasper's adoption records, her heart filled with a mix of hope and apprehension. However, her hope quickly dissipated when she learned from a neighbor that the woman who had adopted Jasper had moved away recently, leaving no trace behind, not even a forwarding address. Clara stood there, feeling a sense of loss and confusion. The absence of a forwarding address deepened the mystery. Clara's mind raced with questions. Why would the woman leave without a trace? Was she running from something or someone? Each unanswered question only served to heighten Clara's sense of urgency and responsibility. She felt a growing commitment to unraveling the truth behind Jasper's brief adoption. Every clue that Clara followed seemed to lead to another dead end. The frustration was palpable, but she refused to let it deter her. Each dead end, while disheartening, only made Clara more resolute. The mystery of Jasper's return had woven itself deeply into her heart, urging her to keep searching, to keep questioning. Despite these setbacks, Clara's resolve did not waver. She knew that the key to Jasper's story lay out there, somewhere in the maze of silent streets and closed doors. With each passing day, her determination only grew stronger, fueled by a combination of concern for Jasper and a deep-seated need to find answers. Clara's determination to unravel the mystery surrounding Jasper's return intensified with each obstacle. She revisited the shelter, scouring Jasper's records again for any overlooked detail that might lead her to the woman. Clara knew that understanding Jasper's story was crucial, not just for her peace of mind, but for the well-being of the cat who had unwittingly become the center of this enigma. In a quiet corner of the shelter, Mary finally opened up to Clara. "I destroyed the note because I wanted to spare us all the heartache," she confessed, her voice barely above a whisper. "The words written on it were too sad, too heavy for us to bear." Clara listened, a mix of surprise and empathy dawning on her face. Mary's eyes held a distant look as she recounted the note's contents, not in words, but in emotion. Clara saw the pain and compassion etched on Mary's face, understanding that the note had deeply affected her. It was more than just a message. It was a window into a sorrowful story that had touched Mary profoundly. As Mary's reasons unfolded, Clara's initial frustration gave way to understanding. She realized Mary's intentions were not to obstruct, but to shield them from a burden of sorrow. This revelation, however, only intensified Clara's resolve. She needed to find Jasper's adopter, not just for Jasper's sake, but to possibly offer solace to a story unfinished and shrouded in sadness. The weight of Mary's confession settled on Clara's shoulders, stirring a deep sense of empathy within her. She felt moved, not just by the adopter's unseen circumstances, but also by Mary's protective instinct. This emotional revelation reignited Clara's determination, now fueled by a desire to provide help wherever it might be needed. With a renewed sense of mission, Clara began to plan her next steps. Understanding the emotional depth of the situation, she knew that finding Jasper's adopter was more important than ever. This was no longer just about a cat's return to the shelter. It was about reaching out, connecting, and perhaps healing a hidden wound that the torn note had briefly revealed. Clara, with a mix of trepidation and determination, finally made contact with Jasper's adopter. With Mary's reluctant assistance, she reached out, only to be met with a brief and tense conversation. The woman's voice, laced with reluctance, echoed a clear unwillingness to talk, abruptly ending the call. This interaction, though disheartening, only strengthened Clara's resolve to uncover the truth behind Jasper's return. The woman's steadfast refusal to discuss Jasper's abrupt return left Clara grappling with an array of unanswered questions. Despite Clara's persistent attempts, each call was met with silence, each message ignored. This wall of silence only intensified Clara's curiosity and determination. The mystery surrounding Jasper's situation deepened, fueling Clara's resolve to understand the reasons behind the adopter's reticence. Observing Clara's persistent efforts, Mary suggested it might be time to let go and find Jasper another home. Yet, Clara felt an unwavering commitment to uncover the full story. Mary's hesitation and doubts only served to strengthen Clara's resolve. She believed there was a deeper narrative that needed to be understood, and she was determined to uncover it for Jasper's sake. Clara's determination didn't waver in the face of the adopter's reluctance and Mary's growing skepticism. She continued to reach out, driven by her commitment to Jasper's well-being and a deep-seated need to uncover the truth. Clara's dedication was unwavering, her efforts a testament to her belief in the importance of understanding Jasper's story, no matter how complex it became. Persistence finally led to a breakthrough. The woman, perhaps recognizing Clara's sincere dedication, agreed to meet. Relief mixed with anticipation washed over Clara as she prepared for the meeting. This was the moment she had been striving for, a chance to shed light on the enigma surrounding Jasper's return. A glimmer of hope in unraveling the mystery that had encompassed them all was now within reach. Clara sat across from Jasper's former adopter, her heart pounding with anticipation. She braced herself for the truth, the mystery that had haunted the shelter for days. The woman's eyes were weary but kind, and Clara knew she was about to hear something profound. The air was thick with unspoken words, waiting to be released into the quiet room. The woman's voice was soft but filled with emotion as she began to speak. "I loved Jasper the moment I saw him," she confessed, her eyes glistening with tears. "But my health, it's been declining. I realized I couldn't give him the care he deserves." Her words were a painful echo of love and loss, a heart-rending revelation. Clara listened, a lump forming in her throat. The woman detailed the contents of the note, how it explained her deep affection for Jasper and her sorrowful decision. It was a note filled with love and a painful acknowledgement of her limitations. Clara understood now why Mary had torn it up. The truth was as beautiful as it was heartbreaking. Empathy washed over Clara as she absorbed the woman's story, the complexity of her situation, the love she felt for Jasper, and the heartbreaking decision she had to make. Clara realized how difficult it must have been to let Jasper go, a sacrifice made out of pure love and concern for his well-being. The woman's story illuminated the often unseen challenges of pet ownership. Clara understood that sometimes the hardest decisions are made out of the deepest love. It was a stark reminder of the realities some face, where the heart is willing, but circumstances prove to be insurmountable. The meeting left Clara deeply moved and even more determined to find a solution. Clara, deeply moved by the woman's heartfelt story, proposed a solution. "What if we co-adopt Jasper? You can still be a part of his life." Her voice was gentle, offering a ray of hope. The idea was unconventional, but Clara felt it was the right thing to do for both Jasper and the woman. The woman's eyes widened at the proposal. "How would that work?" she asked. Clara explained they could share Jasper's care and expenses. They would coordinate visits and ensure Jasper had a stable environment. It was a unique arrangement, but one that promised to fulfill the needs of all involved, especially Jasper's. Tears of gratitude shimmered in the woman's eyes as she accepted Clara's offer. "Thank you," she whispered, her voice thick with emotion. Jasper, sensing the joyful mood, nuzzled into both their hands. It was a moment of profound connection and happiness, a new chapter beginning for them all. Together, Clara and the woman began their journey of co-adopting Jasper. They set up a schedule for his care and visits, each detail crafted with love and consideration. This unique bond they formed was not just about sharing a pet. It was about creating a small, unconventional family bound by their love for Jasper. The story concludes with Jasper, content and purring, settling into his new forever home. He now had not one, but two loving homes, where he was cherished and adored. Clara and the woman watched him play, their hearts full. Jasper's journey had brought them together, weaving their lives into a beautiful tapestry of compassion and companionship.